what a day! What a lovely day!
Welcome to Flat Earth Debate Live. I'm your host Nathan Oakley, and if you are new to this channel, or you've not done so already, how dare you, then be sure to subscribe and hit the bell notification icon to keep up to date with the Flat Earth Debate. If you'd like to support this channel, there is a super chat that runs alongside each of these shows while they are live. There's also a PayPal, Patreon and crypto link in the info box below the video. Most importantly, if you'd like to join the discussion, simply mute the page you are currently watching, then click the link in the info box below this video to join the panel and express your views on the nature of Earth. If you do join, please don't swear. If you do, you'll be ejected, and if you are, please don't try to rejoin the stream using sock accounts. You'll be warmly welcome back on the next stream. Please also share the show on social media. Sharing the show obviously increases the live audience, but this in turn increases the chances of a more diverse panel, so please share the show. And one last time, if you're new to the channel or you've not done so already, then be sure to subscribe and hit the bell notification icon to keep up to date with the Flat Earth Debate. Now we are joined by, in G+, Adam Meakin, Righteous Force, Paul, Quantum Eraser, Jimmy Jedi, Flatzoid, Chocolate Sane, and Arwin, together with 10th Man. Very good to have you all.
Is Adam here?
He is.
Hello.
Afternoon. All right, John.
Good morning.
Let's stop. I've been waiting for that. I feel at home now. That's better.
Good morning.
We've also got a whole bunch of people in Discord, so hello if you are joining us from the live stream on Discord. Good to have you also. Hi Nathan, good to be here. Yeah, really pleased to be here. Yeah, it's so exciting. That's good to know.
On mute. I'm having a hard time taking them off.
Are they all on mute? Do I need to take them all off now?
Something's wrong with Discord today, it seems.
That sounds familiar.
They're slowly coming off mute, though. Half of them are.
Okay, I'll give you a hand. I'll get some of them off mute. While we're taking them off mute, we didn't get through housekeeping last time, so any signs of Earth curvature?
Still flat here?
No. That would be a big nope.
Any signs of axial rotation of the Earth-based variety?
Any signs of an axis?
No.
No.
Right. There you go then.
Any evidence of the distance to the Sun?
No apparent distance.
The speculation.
Any scientific evidence of gravity? And somebody in Discord just say hello, just so I can check it is actually working.
Did anybody supply with hypothesis?
Yeah, I heard that. Thank you, D Mock, or however you pronounce your name. Thank you very much. Sorry, where were we? Distance to the Sun? Already covered that.
Nathan, do you think anybody
Gravity,
can provide us with the scientific hypothesis for gravity?
No, there is no scientific... That's a lead. Go ahead, tell us all about why you would ask such a question, Flatzoid.
Because I can't get it. It claims it's scientific, so I obviously need a hypothesis. And no one seems to be able to provide me with one.
Where have you tried?
Wow, where have I not tried? The only places I'm still going to try is the universities now. I'm going to email them this week.
So that was scientific evidence of gravity, right? Any evidence of a self-perpetuating molten iron core at the centre of a presupposed spherical Earth?
No.
I've not seen none.
Any evidence that you can have gas pressure without the necessary antecedent of a container for the gas to press upon?
A definite no.
I've got some.
Only with imagination.
Sorry, Adam?
I was going to say, I've got more definitive answer for that. It is the full. No, not a lot. Not a sausage, not a drop, not the tiniest spot. Nothing whatsoever at all.
And
I seem to get confused between the equation for gravity and Coulomb's law, as they appear to be the same equation.
Okay.
You ever notice that? Coulomb's law, F equals KQ1 Q2 over R squared. We have gravity, F equals GM1 M2 over R squared.
Did
Fill
you
in the
realize the
blanks
problem there? Did you see the problems there?
But he's
What's the problem?
He's not addressing the problem though.
Are
He's saying that there's a comparable equation by someone completely different. So yeah, okay, we could get into the problem, Flatzoid. Sorry to cut you off, but yeah, no, I didn't know that, Jibby. How did you find such information? I didn't know that.
Oh yeah, this is some stuff we were tossing around on the PPC channel. I think it was last year. A couple of us brought it up, and we noticed. And I brought this up to Charles Flat Earth Math, and I don't think he had an adequate answer for it. But
he doesn't have an adequate answer for anything. What was that? What was that equation? What was that equation again for gravity?
For gravity, it's F equals GM1, your mass 1 of mass 2 over R squared.
No. That's not Newton's equation. It has no G in it.
Right. Well, I have I just pulled up equation gravity. This could be Einstein or Newton. It doesn't say specifically here. It's Newton right here. Newton's law of gravitation.
No, it doesn't have a G in it. That's not Newton's equation. That's C.V. Boy's and Reverend John Michel and Cavendish equation, not Newton's.
Right, and I believe Cavendish was trying to prove or disprove Coulomb's law.
No, Cavendish defined the density of the.
Okay, we're all on the same page now. So you're asserting that Cavendish and Reverend John Michel were doing something different, Jibby. You're saying that they're trying to confirm this other equation. I forgot his name.
That's what we read, was that Cavendish was trying to disprove Coulomb's law. And not anything about gravity.
Interesting.
I wish I had the reference on hand.
Was he trying to disprove Coulomb's law by figuring out the density of the Earth?
No.
Or it just says that in the experiment he was just trying to figure out or debunk that law.
Yeah.
Because I'm confused by that. Because I've never heard that.
It sounds to me...
Well, number one, it's non-experiment. Number two, if you go to the Cavendish paper, read the title. Can somebody get the paper? Is Anthony around? Tony around? Anyone's got the paper? Read the title of Cavendish's paper.
Anybody got it to hand?
I'm looking it up.
I've got Coulomb's law.
Determine the density of the Earth? Really?
Yeah, that's what I said.
Yeah, that's what I read.
Yeah, but I don't want to hijack Jibby's point, because it sounds to me like what Jibby's alluding to is that while we're told that this apparatus was put into function to weigh the Earth, now that's the narrative, but Jibby's proposing something entirely different to what we might get from a Google search. So I don't want to poo-poo what he's putting forward if we don't fully understand it. Maybe explain it a bit further, Jibby, because I'm following along so far.
Basically, just pull up Coulomb's law equation and then pull up the equation for gravity and just plug in values for the letter. It's the same equation, it's the same format.
I can try and address that, I think.
I've got the paper pulled up.
What are the time frames of both of
Time frames? What, sorry? I've got you up, Paul, by the way.
Q1 and Q2 are the signed magnitudes of the charges, as M1 and M2 are the mass of the two objects. It's basically like electric charge, I guess. Is that comparable with gravity? Like we've all speculated that the static electricity could be this gravity.
So it's electric universe, actually.
It kind of, yeah.
Yeah, we're not really punting that, but yes, I have heard it being punted.
Electrostatic force, gravitational force, one and the same, perhaps. I don't know.
Well, no, I would say that your magnetic forces are what they are, and gravitational forces don't exist. So to say that one is the other is kind of no. So experiment to determine the density of the Earth by Henry Cavendish.
Reverend John Mitchell Cavendish.
Don't you have to weigh something to know its density, though? Wouldn't you have to do that?
You would think. We used to say this thing
I think
like,
you would.
we have a barrel
You'd have
across
to
the
know the
room.
makeup.
You can't touch the barrel. What's the weight of the barrel? How do you determine the mass of the barrel? Just by looking at it.
Yeah, it could be empty, it could be full of water, it could be full of anything, but you don't know.
Right. Now take that and apply it to, say, the moon. How do you know the mass of the moon? Especially enough to calculate trajectory, orbit, fuel, and risking human lives.
What's
You
mass?
need to get that right.
Put the
What's
words out of my
mass?
mouth. What is mass? Hey, Chris. In this instance, even if we use it colloquially and we say, well, we're not trying to define it in any sort of scientific terms, if you say mass, you mean a physical body, rock, or whatever. But why would you make that assumption that it is a physical body?
Yes, correct. Why would you assume that?
Spectroscopy.
Spectroscopy.
Well, if you apply spectroscopy to that barrel, you can still see that it's maybe a different color, but wait a minute, that falls apart too, doesn't it?
So, with the exception of...
So they...
Go on.
When using the barrel example, I was told you can't determine the mass of the barrel in the moon example because you observe the orbit, and then that will give you the determination of its mass. Of course, it's
Sorry,
just
I went-
a needed assumption.
throw the barrel down the hill. Now determine its
Without
mass.
touching. Without touching.
I mean, it's the same nonsense.
I'm sorry, I went to get some breakfast. Did we have any conclusion on the density of the Earth in Cavendish?
No. Nobody's made a conclusion.
All assumptions.
Okay, carry on.
I have a conclusion on the comparison, just a little bit. It's the nature of what you're trying to measure here. So the similarity is born out of both of them are trying to calculate the forces or the relative forces applied based on difference. One being electrostatic forces, and the other one being supposedly gravity. And the reason for the similarity in the formula is that they're both inversely proportional to the distance calculations. So that's why they look the same, because the magnitude of the electrostatic forces is inversely proportional to the distances between the two objects. And that's the same theory and principle that both electrostatic and the theory of gravity effect would be inversely square to the distance. And that's why they look the same. The formula itself is the same. The parameters have different meanings.
Okay.
Perfect. Any evidence of the presupposition itself? Earth radius, the R value.
Yeah,
So-
ought to be none here.
They determine that based on a light doing a circle above.
Correct.
How do they know there's nothing beyond where that light goes? You know what I'm saying? It's like, how do they determine the size of the dance floor based on a light that just does a circle above it?
Oh, it's not the size that... Yes, you can take your circling sun and derive a radius value of it. The concern that I have is how they immediately turn that into a spherical radius. So what you described, that let's presuppose it's a physical thing travelling in a circle above us, in the way it looks. Well, they take it one step further and say, no. It's traversing the outside edge of a sphere, giving you your equator.
That's a grand assumption. That's not absurd.
It is, isn't it? Amazing. Yes, that is the base of their every claim ever. That presupposition. Correct. Very amazing. Big grand leap. Right.
I have to the housekeeping question. Get there at the end.
I hadn't asked about gas pressure without a container. Oh no, I had antecedent. Yeah, I think I had covered that. I think that was it. What was it you wanted to add?
Yes, we want to see one single viable scientific hypothesis in either of the disciplines: astronomy, cosmology, and astrophysics. Thanks.
So any scientific experiment, cosmology, astrophysics, or what was it? Cosmology, astrophysics, or
Got the question wrong. I don't want an experiment. I want one single scientific hypothesis in the entire history of either astronomy, cosmology, or astrophysics.
been out there for a couple of weeks now. Open-ended challenge for a hypothesis in any of those fields. So far, not so good. So that's what Flatsoid was talking about earlier, when he's like, yeah, I've been trying to acquire some scientific validity without avail.
The second part of that question is, if you can't provide the answer, then how can you have science without scientific hypotheses? Thanks. Who just steamed the baller?
Someone is losing gas pressure.
Me emergency run away because the coffee machine often overpressurizes if I forget to turn it off, and that was the
I thought
sound of
somebody
me
was steaming a
relieving
baller.
a pending explosion.
Astronomy, you say, John? I think I've got one.
There we go. Go on, Adam. Let's have it.
If lens cap, then no light in my telescope. I think that's about as good as I could get with astronomy, because the thing is, they're the only things you could do is to scientifically validate your equipment there, because anything you're testing is not tangible.
Really? What's the dependent variable?
I know.
light. Don't test the null. No light. You're trying to look for a phenomena, not the lack thereof. You're not testing the null. No light isn't a DV.
Then no, then.
That was a decent attempt, Adam. I'll give you that.
It wasn't. How dare you? That wasn't a decent attempt.
You know, when you start with if lens cap chocolate, it's not going to go very well.
I know, but that's more than that. But that's more than we've actually gotten from any of the other disciplines. So
I see. That's a
I
good
don't know.
attempt at formulating a hypothesis, not a good attempt at the hypothesis being any good. Just a good that is attempted to do it, which is better than most. I see now why you're saying it's good. I get it. Okay, yeah. Nice that you've at least attempted to formulate a hypothesis. That's more than we get from most people, Adam.
Sorry.
Exactly my point. Thank you.
Is that officially added now to the housekeeping questions?
Yeah, that's the conclusion.
No, is my question officially added? I want to know.
If I can recite it, then yeah, no worries. Let's have another bash. So we're looking for any valid hypothesis ever in the fields of astrophysics, astronomy, or cosmology. Any valid hypothesis. Is that right?
So would the question go? So would there be any signs of a valid hypothesis in these disciplines?
That's better phrasing. Any signs
No.
of a valid hypothesis in the fields of astrophysics, cosmology, or astronomy?
Is there any? I want a single viable scientific hypothesis in the entire history of either astronomy, astrophysics, or cosmology. Thanks.
That's where these are the fields that are telling us the shape of the Earth. The Earth has a shape. The Earth specifically is a sphere in a never-ending vacuum. So that's why they're being put to task, because these are the pseudoscience pretender clowns that have lied to you about the nature of your reality. And they've told you it under the banner of science. So John, and rightly so, is putting them to task to give us science.
Yep.
So you're saying to determine the shape of down, we need to look up?
No. They have determined the shape of down by looking up and claimed that when doing so, they are performing science.
Ah.
We're calling them out. John's calling them out. He's saying these people who are under the banner of science, they need to give us some, especially as they're telling us what our world is.
Pretty fair question, don't you think?
Yeah. And the answer should outrage everyone.
Yep.
So, presuppositional speculation isn't science?
No. That's what they've got, and that should outrage everyone. Oh, how joyful it is to watch Freemasons in loud waistcoats talking about black holes and bending of reified space-time. Yeah, until you ask them for some science to back their bullshit, and suddenly they don't know what to do. Well,
According to Sean Carroll, hypotheses are the whole point in science. Okay? Not a problem. Give us one viable scientific hypothesis in the entire history of either astronomy, astrophysics, or cosmology. Should be easy. I should be getting overwhelmed. My emails should be clogged. I shouldn't be able to get into my friggin' email account. Right? Let me say it.
Are you sure it isn't going to be filled up with that clip of Neil deGrasse Tyson dropping the microphone?
Yeah, that's the outrage. They're telling you they're scientists. A quote of Neil deGrasse Tyson's is, "Science is right whether you like it or not." So give us some if it's right whether we like it or not.
But he does claim to perform science when he did that, right?
Neil deGrasse Tyson is continually guilty of reifying science. He's always doing it. Science does this, science says that, science has discovered. Well, just give us an independent variable and dependent variable in a formal hypothesis, and then we'll check after you've given it us whether or not it's been validated by systematic experimentation. But he won't. That's not what he's got. He can tell you what science says. And he means pseudoscientists who want to tell you the nature of your reality say that this light in the sky is whatever we say it is.
Precisely. Okay, are we ready for the word that's like?
Yes, I am. Yes.
I just forgot about that. Yes. Do you want to hear it?
Bit more pomp. And now, the word of the day with your
Empirical.
host, Quantum Eraser. Over to you, Quantum Eraser.
Empirical.
Oh, now that is a good word. Empirical.
Gets thrown around flippantly at will, thrown everywhere, and people don't know what it means, right? I'm going to tell you what it means so we don't drag this out. It has 4 phases. It's observable, testable, repeatable, and falsifiable. The repeatable is associated with the test, not the observation. In other words, it's a summary of the scientific method. So, if you use this word empirical or empirically, I'm going to take you to task. Okay? Thanks.
Okay, I'll just stick to using it on my show then.
Can you give some examples of what is not what you described, maybe?
Oh, I can give you thousands.
Unicorn farts.
No, let's give a real world example. So,
The globe.
if I say the word black hole, does everybody know what I'm talking about and what the practitioners of pseudoscience mean when they tell you what a black hole is? First and foremost, is everyone on the same page if I use the term black hole?
Yes.
Right. If I
Yes.
say, here's a light in the sky, that light in the sky is that which you know of as a black hole. Why? Not because I've formulated a hypothesis, not because I'm going to vary and manipulate that which I assume causes this effect I'm observing. It's because I say it's a black hole. So that would be an example of a failure to be empirical.
Black holes are not lights in the sky.
Definitely
Even
not.
in their paradigm.
The thing about a black hole, right, is it's black. And the thing about space, the most defining characteristic of space, the thing that makes space space, is it's black. So how are you supposed to see them?
And the escape velocity is the speed of light, but light doesn't escape.
Red Dwarf quotes race. They go chasing after a load of black holes or trying to escape from them, one or the other in Red Dwarf. And the computer, who's a bit senile, after they've gone through a lot of dangerous manoeuvres, explains that what it actually was a bit of grit on the scannerscope. 5 specks of grit. And a justification is, well, the thing about a black hole, right, is it's black. The thing about space, right, is it's black.
See, the primary thing, Dave, about space, its most fundamental asset is it's black.
It's black. The thing about a black hole, right, the most defining characteristic of a black hole is that it's black.
According to Stephen Hawking, you start traversing a black hole, you're now manipulating time as time slows down. How do they determine that?
All this talk of spaghettification is making me hungry.
They only recently just found an actual alleged black hole, but they've known for decades that time would slow down if you get close to a black hole.
Yeah,
It's
but
got
they're
some
not
great
getting
words.
Time?
Let's talk
time?
about the event horizon.
In Narnia.
That was a great movie.
Not the movie.
Just go watch Interstellar.
Not the
That
movie.
movie was a flippin' joke. Yeah, was that a comedy?
No, it was awesome science fiction, man.
That wasn't a comedy? I thought it was.
Yeah.
I love the part though when he
we're
gets
off the-
sat
we're
down
off
in
the
the
rails.
office and the lady tells him that they lied about the moon landings.
Yeah.
And his face is devastated. Like, what? What do you mean?
So
And
just
don't
wanna round that
forget,
out.
you
Just
have to
wanna
do
round
it
that
with the
out.
right
Sorry, Chocolate.
accent.
I do want to get onto this subject, but I just don't want it to sort of segue between the two. So we were asked for examples of the antithesis of empirical. Made up. Just so story. Well, yeah. In terms of the lights in the sky and what they assert thereafter, having observed phenomena, potentially, step 1. Only step 1. Well, that's not empirically validated. So, not empirical. Just wanted to round that out.
There's thousands of them. Evolution, black holes, multiverses, radiometric dating,
Ninjas.
Chinese Supermans.
Yeah, the list goes on and on. None of them are empirical.
I kind of believe Dean Cain was an Asian Superman, so you might have to skip that example.
Ninjas are fake. You don't have to like it, Jibby.
Was he riding around the frigging Sombrero Galaxy on a hobbled unicorn?
Oh, the Sombrero Galaxy.
So back to chocolate. What were you saying about the moon landing, which I rudely interrupted, which sounded far more interesting than even the conclusion of that excellent point made by QE, i.e. there is no empiricism being offered in these departments called science, actually pseudoscience. So what were you saying, chocolate?
Nah, somebody brought up Interstellar and how it was garbage, and I said the only part with that I actually respected was when they said when they sat Matthew McConaughey down in that office and told him that the moon landings were fake. You know, like they were just staged or whatever, but it's in the textbooks just as some type of propaganda. I thought that was pretty funny because his face, right, because his face was all devastated. It just reminds me of all the hurt that the ballers feel when they come across this stuff. That's exactly what it reminds me of. So it's funny.
Bear your pain.
Yeah, by the way, the movie was not garbage. It was an excellent piece of cinematography. Beautiful and inspiring and courageous and interesting.
And a comedy.
Yes, and beautiful does not mean real, so you can enjoy the beauty of art without believing it.
Well, according to the presuppositions already on the table, it was pretty well crafted for what it had to work with.
So was Narnia.
There it is. See how Arwen manages to weasel in his disclaimer.
Yeah, but it's the difference between a shitty-looking Narnia and a really amazing Narnia. That's the difference.
Agreed. It did look good.
Yeah. Doesn't matter if it's impossible. It's necessary.
I thought the Sandra Bullock movie represented gravity quite well in the concept of it. Like how the movements of the space shuttle would be when it was struck, how you would spin out of control in space. Like, I almost believed in gravity watching that movie. They did it so well.
What are you talking about? There wasn't any gravity in it.
Well, yeah, you know, the representation of the lack of gravity around the Earth and how objects would react and such.
Let's just call it asymmetrical relative density.
Sorry. There was no bending of pseudo-Ramonian force space in that movie. I didn't see it. Correct me if I'm wrong.
Yeah, the lack of it and the movements of objects in Earth orbit, in the concept of it, that movie represented it well, the concept of it.
No, it didn't.
So I'll call a movie baseball and not show any baseball? Is that what you're driving at?
Well, hold on. There's many more gems in it. I'd like to really point this out. One of the big things that they talked about when saying the big problem of getting off the planet, it's overcoming the gravity factor. Like, okay, they're supposedly able to send off things out there, but when it really meant something, they couldn't get off.
When it was for humanity.
Yeah, exactly. They did all that, and it's like basically in your face subliminally telling you, like, yeah, we really want to do this, but we can't. And then the doctor lady magically figures out the ultimate formula of gravity, finally figuring out what gravity really is. And that is literally the plot of that movie. She found out what gravity really is. That's literally the plot.
Please share.
Hang on, Kajabi.
Isn't that amazing?
Yo,
please share. What is it?
Doesn't say what it is, but she figured out the formula and everything worked out.
So
you know, I kind of forgot about that. Like, now you make me feel like I got to go back and watch that again, just for the nonsense. I remember swimming in Narnia. You ever seen Interstellar?
No, I hadn't watched Gravity yet.
Oh, Gravity.
Have you seen Alien 2 or Aliens?
No, we've never seen Aliens. We just quote the damn thing every year.
If you watch that, you've basically got the plot of Gravity.
Interstellar's good.
Yeah, it's a good comedy. We already went over that.
Gravity was a bit boring for me, though.
Gravity was just a
I did
CGI
like the
show.
part in the beginning where the guy, the astronaut, the freaking meteorite goes to the astronaut's face. That was actually kind of cool. A little morbid, but I like that stuff. I was like, oh, he just ate that shit.
Oh, did you guys see the movie? It was out maybe a couple of years ago, where an astronaut's suit malfunctioned and they drowned in it in space.
They actually claim that happened. That wasn't a movie.
That was in a movie after the story, years after the story.
Oh, really? Oh, okay.
Yeah.
My bad. I didn't know that.
Which movie was that?
It was called NASA. I mean, no, there was actually a movie. Sorry. Yeah, right. Go on.
Yeah, it was. I guess an alien got. They captured an alien or something, an alien life form on the ISS, and there was an astronaut who was outside the ISS, and I guess the alien got in the suit and popped the hose, and you see the water filling up in the helmet, and they drowned.
An
And
alien
of course,
did it.
that was to refer to the story that we've all picked apart 1,000 times, where they need snorkels in space and everything.
That's their answer, isn't it? An alien did it.
Yeah.
But is anybody
Wait,
going to break
you
down?
remember who was in that movie? 'Cause that
Hold on.
wasn't the one with what's his name? Ryan Reynolds, right? Life.
Hold on, chocolate. I don't want
Life,
this.
yeah, something like that, yeah.
Yeah,
Right.
filmography, great. Just get to that later. Somebody going to break down the point of all this. So, let me get it straight. There's a narrative that's having to be spun in the Hollywood narrative of space about snorkels being used, and in this instance, it's exampled in the movie by drowning an alien who gets into a spaceman suit, apparently. Now, I just want somebody to tie that back into the relevance to what we're presented with as our reality. Is anybody going to do that? No, I'm going to talk about tanks of...
There are actually people up there in the same place.
People seem to take Hollywood as reality, so if you show an example of such a thing in a movie, people understand now how that can happen, makes the story more real to them.
Well, maybe they're trying to now portray it so covertly in the minds of people that having your helmet filled up with water is apparently a typical mechanical risk that isn't that uncommon. To get the weirdness of it out of the way, normalizing it.
You've all missed my point. Why would it be necessary to weave into the narrative of a movie snorkels in astronaut suits? Why would that be needed?
To make it part of reality.
No, for the love of God.
Story.
To make fun of us.
No, you're all missing the point. Right, God, I've got to lead you even more. Bloody hellfire. Ugh. So, where do you think the what they call them, EVs, where they're going outside to fix all of the cables that for some reason are on the outside of these vehicles? Where do you think those are filmed?
Yeah, underwater. They've already been busted on this.
Underwater? That's an interesting statement.
They're using the ISS.
Shut up, you. Discord only now, as it was Discord that actually gave me the answer. Who is that in Discord?
It's Travis Clark, sir.
Sorry. Whatever would you mean? Underwater? What does that mean, Travis?
Well, it made the headlines, and an astronaut almost died. So, they got to weave it in. And where do you weave it in? When people are suspended in disbelief, when they're hypnotized by film.
No, you've strolled past it again.
But they tried to make the film the echoes of the reality and then keep the people in the echo, in the film.
I can't believe my ears.
Think about
I'm going to do it myself.
much
I'm sick of
and
this. Right.
Well on the film.
No, think about suspension of disbelief. The footage that people are presented with that is alleged to be taking place out in a sky vacuum that we've already said isn't real and doesn't exist. They do have footage, though, don't they? Of people seeming to walk around on the outside of spacecraft in a vacuum. So, given that they actually have footage of what they claim is space, where did they get that footage from? I'm just going to say it. They film it underwater. That's where they get the footage from. I can't believe it's taken this much leading. It's like pulling teeth.
We already know that.
We do? Oh, it's not like there's 150 people watching this.
Don't you mean that they're reenacting?
Everyone already knows that from 2015. What's your
Do
point?
they?
I thought I had said that.
No, you suspension of disbelief and weaving it into the narrative. And no, they film outer space underwater in bloody tanks of water. That's why they've got to weave in the narrative about them drowning, because it's a genuine risk of filming what they call space, drowning in a tank of water. That was the point I wanted to get made clear.
Well, it also made the headlines, you know?
So, all right, off the back of that, right? So we have a story about an astronaut who almost drowned. Why is there not a story about an astronaut who almost died in space, which is where they're supposed to be?
Space isn't real. Second law of thermodynamics violation. It's not real. There is no outer space. You can't have gas pressure next to a vacuum.
How many people have actually officially died in space? I know people
Nobody.
have supposedly
Nobody's died
blown
in
up
space,
in rockets.
Arwen.
No, but
Well,
official.
in
according
space,
to the
no.
official story.
Official, it's only the Challenger crew. And
on the way to space, they die. Not
Right,
rocket.
in the rocket.
On the way.
So, but nobody
rocket.
officially died in space.
In space, not that I've heard of.
I've never heard of an astronaut dying while in space. Just on the way.
Incredible.
Never even getting hurt or anything.
It's
What's incredible about it?
Slight case of misjudging the airlock, as they pressurize or nothing.
They train in the opposite environment. Why would you train in a tank for the opposite of that up there?
And they're all old as hell, all geriatric. You got regular jet pilots being in tip-top condition, and then you have some, flabby old 60-year-old
who can't do flips on a wire.
Probably has
but those are the best of the best.
Probably has an enlarged prostate, so he has to take a piss every fucking 2 hours into space.
It's too dangerous to train in a vacuum. Come on, too dangerous. Navy SEALs, they train in the water, they train in the air, and they train on the land.
It's too dangerous to train in a vacuum. But let's send some astronauts in a tin can so that they can conduct interviews with kids at 17,500 miles per hour around the Earth.
Yeah, it makes sense, right? It's too dangerous, so you can't train for it. You just have to do it.
Yeah, but then once you do
How do they maintain connection?
Once you say again, I'll just make a point and then I'll come back to you. Sorry. So statistically, they say that flying is safer than driving, whereas I bet if we rounded out the statistics for being in the vacuum, it would be even safer still, right?
Oh, obviously. I mean, all the astronauts, they have 100%, survival rate, right? Nobody's ever died, so it's got to be the safest way to travel.
Sounds like it.
The same.
Go on, Travis. Sorry.
That's no worries, man. It's okay.
It is dangerous though, because we had those guys die in that Challenger explosion. So they're
that's just on the way. It's just dangerous on the way. Once you get there, you're good. Kick back, take off the suit, put on the khakis, and then fly around and play guitar and all that. Then you're good.
If there's
it's
any
just
issues,
getting there is the problem.
Any micrometeorites or whatever that smash into this tin can in a second law of thermodynamics violation, Narnia, space, you just stick your thumb in it. It just sorts it out.
Quick, fast.
I was going to show you if you see
actually
my
ask
screen.
if anybody seen Jaren's expose where it's on the outside of the space station, and Mission Control is like, we can see your thumb, over. And they could see his thumb through the, I think it was his right thumb when he was working on something, because he had to take it out of the glove to actually do the task. He's also caught, what is it? The scuba divers' hands on the feet of the astronauts.
Yeah, pulling apart the trickery.
That's not suspect.
Just filming it in a tank and then editing out the divers that help them.
Right. Look at the material of the first astronaut suits compared to today. Look at the material, like the very first.
Oh well, the first
astronauts are in white, the scuba divers are in black, and then you just darken the contrast and you blot out the scuba divers.
Well, I think he's talking about before that when it was stop motion animation rather than actual people in a tank.
That was the first man.
That was the Russian, the cosmonaut, right?
Yep. Yeah, with the swivel head.
That was my favorite space footage ever. The stop motion, it looked like Gumby.
Where he turned his head, or where he turned his head and nodded. That one, where
Yeah. He saluted, and then when you really look at it, right, the Earth is spinning one way at one shot. Then they cut away, then they cut back. The Earth's rotating a completely different direction, which is funny because now you don't see the Earth rotating at all. So what the hell happened? So bad.
It's just the look of it. It's very Jason and the Argonauts. You know, it's so obvious these days because obviously we're used to much better cinematography. So looking at that old crap, you're just like, well, yeah, it's Jason and the Argonauts. And I remember the comeback. The comeback was like, no, their heads could swivel in those suits. And you're like, yeah, but how do you explain the fact that it looks like stop motion animation?
I just thought of another reason, probably why they had to fake it. Go ahead, Chocolate. I'll come back. Go ahead.
No, go ahead. I'm good.
It's okay. If you think about something like why they had to fake it to the moon. Okay, I'm actually, if you can see my screen, I'm actually been playing with this. This is a trigonometry, figuring out distances using the triangle, the wherever that word is. And I've actually used this calculator and actually figured out the distance to the sun. But you have to know the distance to the moon first. So now if I travel anywhere, if I go somewhere, I have to, it's a good idea to know roughly how far away it is. Because if I don't have enough gas, or if I don't account for gas stations, this is on the ground, obviously I might miss my destination or not make it to my destination. So to go to the moon, you have to know its distance, how long it's going to take, what you're going to need to get there, all that fun stuff. So part of faking it is saying we know the distance. Because if you know the distance to the moon, then you could calculate the distance to the sun and the other planetary bodies. Do you get what I'm driving at?
Yeah.
Because if you don't know the distance to that, like for instance, let me show you this little calculator. Let's say if my distance is off, I change that distance to, let's say 235 or whatever that word is, and I recalculate it. Oh, my distance to the sun is shorter. Oh, what if I'm off even more? What if it's only 3,000 miles away? Oh, then it's only 1,000,000 miles away, whatever that is, right? If you know that's why the distance to the moon is kind of critical, because everything else is based upon that.
Yeah.
You see what I just
so
did?
you fake a journey, and then when you interview the astronauts, you have them give accounts of navigating there via the stars and not being able to see the stars, and being able to navigate the craft and being on autopilot.
Right. Yeah. But you have to know the distance. So you have to know the distance to be able to calculate, to be able to know all those factors. And think about them. You're trying to move. It's like me driving to Michigan, but Michigan's moving constantly. Think about that. For instance, I leave Tennessee and I'm moving to Michigan, but Michigan's moving. So think about that as well. So you got to know speed, distance, trajectory, all that kind of fun stuff to hit the target.
Yeah. And then your pilots say, you speak to both the pilots who say they've been there when you're talking to them in person. You haven't seen them do the journey, but they're saying they've been there. And one of them says, we just sat on the craft along for the ride. We're not really doing anything. We're just along for the ride. And then another one says, yes, we're actually navigating by the stars.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, that was Buzz copping please. Oh, we're just passengers taking a ride. Don't ask me.
Yeah, even though in the
Like,
footage
come
they've
on.
got them with star charts. I love it. We can't see the stars. I don't remember seeing any. And then they've got star charts in the video.
Yeah. Hey Nathan, by the way, question. Do you have anything special planned for the 1000th Flat Earth Debate episode tomorrow?
No, I've got nothing special planned, but big shout out to those of you watching right now live in the Nathan Oakley stream, because you will be privy to the 1000th show. So it will go out live, and then within 24 hours or within 12 hours, if the uncut and after show, so the full 1000th show, will go out on Saturday to the main Nathan Oakley 1980 audience. But if you're watching right now, you are obviously amongst the audience that's going to get the actual 1000th show live tomorrow at 2 p.m. UK time. So be here or be sphere on the Nathan Oakley channel to catch the 1000th show. I've got a bit of a cold. Live. But if you're watching this obviously on Nathan Oakley 1980, this 1000th show will be tomorrow, because this is going out on Friday for you.
It'll be on Saturday?
So it'll be on Saturday, uncut. So the uncut and after show will go out at 10 p.m. UK time on Saturday, but we'll actually be filming, if you like, the live show tomorrow, which is Friday for us. Obviously, we're in real time now while we're having this conversation. But the people watching this conversation now on Nathan Oakley 1980, not live, are watching it on Friday. So for them, tomorrow is going to be the 1000th show. Yeah. But by then, it's already been recorded. Do you see what I mean?
Yeah, that's perfectly clear.
I got it.
So shout out to David Rakia Gafford, who says, 4 more hours of moot and pass. Rakia, life is happening. All glory to God. Thank you very much for the super chat, David Rakia Gafford. I really appreciate your support. A lot
Stay
of it.
on moot, Dave.
Did you got anything else to add on your needing to know the distance first, Paul?
No, just making a point. That's all.
No, I just wanted to know if I could take it off screen. That was all.
If you want to put something else on screen, I just put the movements of the solar system in Master B. If you want to pull that up, we could laugh at that for a second.
Yeah, let's see if I can do that. Give me a sec.
Whoever came up with that is a baller, and he's hating life because all the flat earthers are taking it.
I got it, Dad.
Yeah, so we made it to the moon while navigating this. Really, I think that's pretty funny.
That's all relative.
Oh, of course it is.
Hey, John, how hard it
experience any of this motion because of gravity or something?
What?
Or something, all right.
Because gravity is stronger than momentum and centrifugal force. I don't know.
Stronger? What are you talking about? So not actual force.
Yeah, exactly.
No, you mean like Professor X style. So like you could think about it real hard and it affects things.
Now
like
in
Professor
here,
X.
in this conceptualization, it is definitely stronger than the
Then what?
centrifugal force, or this could not be. See?
Well, this model could not be.
Well, that's what we're presupposing now, aren't we?
No, we're not.
When we look at this?
No, we're not.
No.
No?
We're laughing.
Well,
We're
if you
laughing
do,
at
then if you're going to
presupposing.
presuppose that this is the case, then you must submit that there's no other choice than that gravity, the presupposed already gravity, must be so much stronger, or centrifugal force would simply just blow everything apart.
But the distances are so vast, and the change in acceleration is so minute, Erwin. Don't you know any better than this? This is an over-exaggeration. This is not a true two-scale understanding. Don't you get that?
Yeah, but we do know something about centrifugal forces and spin. That is, the wider it is, it doesn't lose its strength at all. So
how minute is that? Can you quantify?
Yeah, I win.
A lot.
A lot? How minute? A lot. My God, he's on double speaking form today.
It's very minute.
Very, very minute. A colossal amount of minutia.
Dude, I'm presupposing what I'm looking at right now. I'm going to go off the scale. Duh.
And it's funny, if you look at this
What
depiction,
scale is that? So if it's a quantification scale, can you quantify when you say minute? How much is that in physical units?
0.
Oh, I'm begging the question for the Globers. The Globers would be the ones saying that, so they need to be the one to do the minute scale, not me. There's another thing about this too. I mean, I know we're begging the question, we're even talking about the scale thing, but now they're showing the planets rotating kind of perpendicular to the so-called galactic center. But if it was kind of rotating on the horizontal aspect of the galactic center, so to speak, the sun would be wanting to run into the other planets or under orbital mechanics, correct?
What the hell is an orbit?
I know.
Orbital mechanics, I love it.
We've got to do one or the other, right? We've got to accept that we're working within their presuppositions, just point it out at the beginning and then go through it to pull apart the model, which to me seemed pointless, but, you know, I'll allow it slide. But if at every step that somebody's playing devil's advocate for their model, somebody's going to point out what's orbits, what's how have you got... I mean, I'm not knocking you. That's right. That's the right thing to do, Chocolate. But, you know, it's just one of them. Why are we even entertaining this?
Yeah, no, it's just a laugh.
It's entertainment.
I just wanted to point out, just, you know, getting to the moon, navigating to the moon in that. It's just funny to me. Like, I don't believe people actually believe this nonsense.
But don't you know, Chocolate, that gravity has this magical property of reaching out across the vastness, distance of the void of space and grabbing hold of an object and pulling it towards other objects? Did you know that? Come on.
As if by magic?
Is that by magic?
Oh.
Yes, and all the gravities all balance out in this web of gravity influences, and like a giant cog mechanism, it all keeps itself into place.
And don't you know that the sun has its own downward force, just like the Earth has its own downward force? Come on now. Don't you guys get this? The moon has its own downward force. Mars has its own downward force. Come on. Don't you guys get this?
Level to gravity. We fly level to gravity, right?
Level to gravity.
It's all R-based relative density, guys. You know it. It's all R-based relative density.
At 7.2 degrees down angle.
While 2.6 up angle.
Correct.
Don't forget about the Vector. Sorry.
Actually,
we have Clarence. Roger, what's your vector, Victor?
I have 2 clients that actually fly for airlines. One of them flies for Delta, and I don't know, can't remember where the other one flies for, but yeah, I'm going to ask both of them that question. I haven't come out about Flat Earth. I just ask them questions, and they're like, holy crap, you know a lot for not being a pilot. Well, okay. Self-educated.
I would say if you're watching this on Nathan Oakley 1980, then stay tuned, as there will be an after show to follow. Unfortunately, if you're watching this live on Nathan Oakley, this is where we bid you farewell. A huge, massive, enormous thank you to all of today's debating panel for making this live show possible, and of course a massive thank you to all of you for tuning in live, smashing the super chat. There was actually one of the super chat. Another shout out to Dave Rakia Gafford, who says, I'm on mute. Thank you very much for the super chat, David Rakia Gafford. I've been Nathan Oakley. Stay tuned if you're watching on Nathan Oakley 1980, and I'll see you all in the next video.
Oh, what a day! What a lovely day!